Okay, committee, we are now live.
Okay, we will call the meeting to order. We respectfully acknowledge that the County of Haliburton is located on Treaty 20 Mishi-Saugig territory and in the traditional territory of the Mishi-Saugig and Chippewa Nations, collectively known as the Williams Treaties First Nations. We acknowledge a shared presence of Indigenous nations throughout the area and recognize its original inhabitants as the stewards of its lands and waters since time immemorial. Good afternoon and welcome to the County of Haliburton's Land Division Committee. My name is Liz Danielson, Chair of the committee. I'd like to introduce you to other members of the committee. Tammy McKelvey, Councillor at Large for Minden Hills. Pat Kennedy, Public Member for Dysart et al. Bob Snyder, a Public Member representing Highlands East, and Bill Donald, Public Member representing Algonquin Highlands. We are joined by our Director of Planning, Elizabeth Parnell, and our official Land Division Secretary, Treasurer, and Planner, Adam Kozlowski. The meeting is held through remote electronic participation in accordance with the Municipal Act 2001 as amended. The purpose of the hearing is to give each applicant or their authorized agent the opportunity to discuss their application with the committee and to respond to written submissions which may have been received. It's also an opportunity for committee members to broaden their understanding of each application by asking questions. Members of the public who are participating virtually today may also make oral submissions to the committee, whether in support or opposition to an application. We hear applications in the same order as they were received in our office. Our planner will introduce each application and provide planning briefs. Then participants who have registered to address the committee will be admitted virtually to speak with the committee. Each participant will be provided 5 minutes to speak to the committee. With that, we'll now proceed with the agenda. Could I have a mover and a seconder to adopt the agenda as presented? Members Donald and Kennedy.
Be it resolved that the June 10th, 2024 Land Division Committee agenda be hereby approved.
All in favor? That's carried. Is there any declaration of pecuniary interest or general nature thereof today? Hearing none, could I have a mover and a seconder to adopt the minutes of May the 13th? Moved by Member Snyder, seconded by Member McKelvey.
Be it resolved that the minutes of the Land Division Committee meeting held May 13th, 2024 be approved as printed and circulated.
All in favor? That's carried. So we'll move into our applications for consent. The first being Blair for the creation of 2 new rural lots in Dysart.
And thank you, Madam Chair, to committee. I will share screen and walk committee through these 2 applications. Okay, and I trust everybody can see the screen and my cursor.
Yep.
Okay. There's 2 applications before committee today, H04823 and H04923. And this is to create 2 new rural lots in Dysart, just outside of the Haliburton settlement area, just on County Road 21. And the application, the subject lands, I'll just go through the map here. Subject lands are at 2572 Sawyers Lake Road. And just for committee's background, these at one time were 3 parcels, and then they merged on title when the properties were placed under the same name after the passing of one of the co-owners. So part of this application today is to reestablish the 3 lots as they did exist at one time. And I'll just get into some detail here. So the retained lot is 2572 Sawyers Lake Road, 34.5 hectares. And it has 400 meters of frontage on Sawyers Lake Road and just a little bit over 450 on County Road 21. There is a garage and workshop and outdoor storage area at the top end of the property, just near the intersection of Eric Potter, up here in the top northwest corner. The first severed lot, H48, is the middle lot here, and this property has 500 meters of frontage on Sawyers Lake Road and 410 meters on County Road 21. And this property is 28.2 hectares, or just under 70 acres, and it is vacant. And the corner lot here is H4923. So this property has 13 and a half acres, 5.47 hectares, and it has 300 meters of frontage on Sawyers, and it's got 465 meters on, sorry, I've got that reversed. 300 meters on County Road 21, 465 meters on Sawyers Lake Road, and this property is also vacant. And just by way of brief background, this application originally appeared in front of Dysart Council in 2022, and staff did not recommend endorsement because at the time, the 1,000-meter rural lot creation policy that we had in place was more restrictive. It just basically prohibited lots outright. Through County Official Plan Amendment number 1, the county plan was amended. That policy was made more flexible for interpretation of new lot creation. And when this application went to Dysart originally, again, staff recommended refusal, but Dysart Council did endorse it at the next subsequent meeting. And there were a number of conditions put on that endorsement. In the meantime, after endorsement from Dysart, the proponent prepared a planning justification report as well as an environmental impact study to support these lots. And then after County Official Plan Amendment 1 was passed, the application was basically prepared to bring forward to committee today. So staff have reviewed the application against the policies. We have reviewed the environmental study. Dysart staff have also signed off on the environmental study and the planning justification report. Al Shaw is here today from Riverstone, as is Sue Harrison, who prepared the planning report. And staff recommend approval subject to the conditions in the report. One condition I just want to draw to committee's attention is there is a pit across the road from both lots, and it is an active gravel pit. And so staff have recommended that a technical study be prepared to basically recommend appropriate setbacks for any new residences that may be built on these two severed lots in future. And that would be a condition of consent as listed by staff. And so I would be happy to answer any questions committee may have. Thank you.
Questions from the committee, Member Kennedy.
Well, let's start with the this gravel pit business. I fail to recognize why staff needs this report. We contain within the report you already have the sand gravel deposits is listed as tertiary, which is not considered to be an important resource because of the low available resource or because of possible difficulties in extraction. Further on, it goes into to say that your study wants to deal with noise, dust, vibration, and other potential nuisances. However, in the report, it also says there's been no complaints received from neighbors. I'm struggling with the rationale for this proponent to have to pay more money to come up with a report that I think any one of us could write in an afternoon using the information provided in the report you already gave us. Is there more that is there something there I'm missing? We'll start with that one first.
Okay, through you, Madam Chair. So I think there's two issues here that I want to just, we'll clear up both of them. The matter of the tertiary aggregate, that's limited to the triangular piece that's on the corner of Sawyers and 21. So that property, our mapping has it identified as having a sand deposit underground, obviously. And when we did our analysis, the Ontario Geological Survey identifies it as tertiary significance. So staff didn't have any issue with creating that triangle lot. The technical study is in relation to the pit, the Snowden pit that's on the other side of the road. And because it is an active pit, it does have a Class B license, 20,000 tons a year max. But the county official plan and the provincial policy statement have language that really we can't get around. It says that when new sensitive land uses, such as a lot for a residence, is created adjacent to these facilities, we shall, or the proponent shall prepare that study. So we really couldn't get away from that. But I guess in, on the flip side, on the positive side here, that study is going to be very strictly limited to the Snowden pit. I don't think it's going to be as an extensive study as if they were examining, let's say, a Lafarge pit down in Simcoe County. It's not a massive quarry. Right. So I think it'll be a very focused and scoped study, and that should help the applicant financially at the end of the day.
Go ahead, Pat.
Yeah, just further comment that it says in the report that the western portion of that pit is already dormant. It's been used up, it's been reclaimed, and the pit is actually moving east and north away from this particular property. So the provisions within the report that say 30-meter setback from the road and 15-meter setback from lot lines, I would think will probably be the basis of the recommendation coming out of this report.
Yeah, and through you, Madam Chair. So no, these are all the subjective factors of this situation, and the capture area that a study is required under is 300 meters, and that's right out of the county official plan. So because we're creating new lot lines within 300 of that pit, regardless of where the extraction's happening, both of these two parcels are captured under 300. So it falls under that umbrella. We do the study, and it's going to ensure that future owners or future residents on these lots are not going to be impacted by that pit. You know, it's 20,000 tons a year. I talked to Mr. Neville. He said he doesn't pull anywhere close to that, but if he has a really busy year and suddenly has to pull 20, we just want to make sure it's not going to impact new residents that live across the street.
Member McKelvey.
Adam, I get where you say new land uses, the proponent shall do this study, but like these were existing lots, and unfortunately a lawyer probably registered them all and caused this problem. So I don't look at this as new land uses, so I'm struggling with the need for more studies as well. Does it really have to when it was these were 3 existing parcels?
Yeah, through you, Madam Chair. I definitely understand that situation, and it is unfortunate that the lands merged. However, they have been merged in title for a while now, and because under the PPS, lot creation is deemed to be development, and because we are creating or recreating new lots today, we have to use the policies in place today. And again, the wording in our official plan it's not really doesn't give any flexibility for interpretation. It says shall, so that's where we are with that condition.
What's the zoning on the parcel now?
Through you, sorry, Madam Chair, which parcel, the middle or the triangle?
The existing lands that are being subdivided.
I will have to just bear with me 1 second. I will pull up the Dysart report.
And did I see in the report that the retained parcel is going to belong to Dysart at all?
I'm not aware of any.
Okay, I must have misread that.
Sorry, I'm just looking through the the Dysart report here. So the subject lands, as they are today, they are rural type 1 and environmental protection, and the EP zoning is there's some pockets there of wetland.
Okay, thank you. Other questions from the committee? Member Kennedy, were you finished with your questions?
Yeah, I remember McKelvey asked the one that about the original. They were originally 3 lots, so why are we even going through this huge exercise and expense? If they were 3 original lots, we're just correcting a legal matter, but that's been answered. So that's got it for me. Thank you.
I believe the agent Sue Harrison is here if she wishes to speak to the committee.
Unmute. There we go.
Good afternoon. You've heard Mr. Kozlowski's report. Is there anything that you would like to add?
Good afternoon. Yes, I would just like to say that was a very thorough presentation of what's proposed. Appreciate that. I have reviewed the staff report, and we understand that both of the new lots would be required to have a rezone and have a development agreement for each property. Echoing what committee member Kennedy said, we were a little surprised to see a new requirement at this stage of the game for a new technical report. These typically haven't been required of us in the past, and so we will be looking to county staff to give us a really clear idea of exactly what you want covered in the study and what type of firm or subject matter expert we're looking for. Whether it's a civil engineer, we're just a little unclear as to who would prepare such a report. And I'm happy to answer any questions the committee members may have also.
Do you have any comment based on what Ms. Harrison has said, Adam?
Through you, Madam Chair, no, just to committee, we can definitely have a discussion offline today, should committee approve this, and we will discuss the study requirements and explore firms that might be able to do this work. But we can have that discussion offline.
Okay, do members of the committee have questions for Ms. Harrison? Member McKelvey.
I'm not sure it's for Ms. Harrison or perhaps staff again, but I still don't understand why we couldn't just put some warning in this development agreement. I expect they're going to be registered on title. Adam, would that be correct for all three parcels?
So through you, Madam Chair, so the outcome of the study, in this case, the technical study relating to the Snowden pit, the consultant, whoever the proponent decides to hire, is basically going to come back after assessing that pit for noise, dust, vibration, and they're going to make a recommendation on how far a dwelling should be on either of those lots. That number can be implemented through the zoning condition through Dysart. The other matters for the 5126 development agreement, those are more related to the environmental features, so that the future owners are aware if before they build that they have to abide by that recommendations of Riverstone.
Okay, so but we have very little aggregate resources opportunities here, so I'm not trying to get rid of what's there. That's great. But it is there. And again, I go back to these three lots were already there as well. If we put something on title in this agreement so that people realize they can't complain after the fact about a pit and the noise and the vibration and everything because it was there first.
Yeah.
So like, has the county had one of these studies done for any other application? I'm just wondering what's involved, who does them?
Through you, Madam Chair. So the pits that, or the new lot creation that we've looked at in my time here, we've been fortunate because the properties that are being created are outside of that 300-meter setback. So the study requirements, we haven't imposed those. But in this case, because we're right across the street and we don't have an envelope outside of 300 meters, especially for the triangle lot, that's what's compelling us to do this. But what's going to happen is, again, once that special zoning comes in based on the consultant's recommendation, the idea here is that there will be no nuisances. And that's why that consultant will recommend an enhanced setback. And that's to protect future landowners from, like I said, noise, dust, vibration, truck traffic. They'll be set back far enough into the lot that it won't affect their everyday life.
Well,
Go ahead.
the triangle piece isn't that big, is it? Like, if you go 300 meters, like how far back is that going to be on that piece of property?
Well, through you, Madam Chair, the 300-meter setback is a distance imposed by the county official plan policy. So it's kind of we'll call it a flagging tool. So if you're going to develop a new lot within 300 meters, that's what triggers the study. It doesn't mean that the house in future has to be 300 meters. The technical study might come back and say the house has to be, 250 feet off the road, based on that particular pit operation.
Now, I realize the 300 meters is the triggering point, but you're dealing with a piece of property. That corner piece is not that big. So I just wondering how far back you're going to make them move. And again, it was there beforehand. So
Are there questions from other members for Ms. Harrison?
No.
Mr. Shaw from Riverstone Environmental is here. I'm not sure if he wishes to add any comments.
Good day, committee.
Good afternoon.
I really don't have too much to add. I think Adam's done a great job in summarizing the material. And as you can see from our report, we did identify some wetlands and water courses, but they will be sufficiently protected with buffers. And that certainly leaves lots of room for dwellings and septic systems, accessory structures, etc., on each of these lots. I am here to answer any further questions that committee members may have.
Do committee members have any questions for Mr. Shaw? Member Kennedy.
I read the report. How often is the deer wintering area reviewed and by who?
For you, Mr. Chair, deer wintering areas are really the purview of the Ministry of Natural Resources. They are truly the ones that are responsible. It's not that case for a lot of environmental features, but the details in the provincial documents say that really the MNR is solely responsible. Quite often they do overlap on some properties that are being divided and lots are created. So we do go out and take a look for sure. But if you're wondering, you know that there's a deer yard in some places and you know that there's no deer yard, no deer there, it won't be taken off the map anytime soon. You know as well as I do that the Ministry of Natural Resources have had their funding cut, and when people retire, they don't rehire and all of those sorts of things. So unfortunately, as it is the case in a lot of things, it gets downloaded onto municipalities and upper tier municipalities, and then ultimately onto the landowner to hire somebody like us to go and sort of prove what a lot of the landowners already know. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes we do find things that certainly that the landowners don't know about. But if you're wondering if deer yards that aren't deer yards are going to be taken off the map anytime soon, I wouldn't hold your breath.
Okay, that's sort of what I figured. That is not keeping up what they're supposed to be doing. And so anyways, thank you.
Very
okay,
welcome.
if there are no further questions, could I have a mover and a seconder to receive the report and grant provisional approval to the application? Member Kennedy, seconded by Member Schneider.
Be it resolved that the Land Division Committee of the County of Haliburton received the report related to applications for consent H4823 and H4923, and that the Land Division Committee for the County of Haliburton grant provisional approval of application for consent H4823, subject to the conditions of approval as listed in the staff report, and two, that the Land Division Committee for the County of Haliburton grant provisional approval of application for consent H4923, subject to the conditions of approval as listed in the staff report. Member Kennedy?
Yes.
Member McKelvey?
yes.
Member Snyder?
Yes.
Member Donald?
Yes.
And Chair Danielson.
Yes. That's carried. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
And hopefully Adam can resolve any questions that you've got, Ms. Harrison. Okay, the next application is for a new rural residential lot in Minden Hills by 263-7795 Ontario Limited.
And thank you, Madam Chair, and I will share screen and walk committee through the application. Okay, and I trust everybody can see the screen and cursor?
Yeah.
Okay. Application H01724 is for a new rural residential lot. And this is at the northwest corner of Eric Potter Road and Sawyers Lake Road. And the severed parcel shown in red here, will have 110 meters of frontage on Eric Potter Road, and that's where the principal entrance is. And it'll have 85 meters of frontage on Sawyers Lake Road to the east. And this property will have 1 hectare of area, 2.47 acres. And the retained lot in green is currently vacant, and it's a large property, 91 acres with 870 meters of frontage on Sawyers and 460 meters of frontage on Eric Potter. And I'll just show the specifics of the property here. So this is a site sketch prepared by the applicant. They've incorporated the setbacks to lot lines. They've shown the existing entrance, driveway. There were site photos prepared they were in the report package. There is a large cleared area in there, so minimal or no tree removal. Property is fairly flat, great places for building envelopes, septic envelopes. So staff didn't have any concerns with this one. Minden Hills staff have endorsed the application, and county staff also recommend approval subject to the conditions that are listed in the staff report. And I'd be happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Are there any questions from the committee on this application? Is there anyone present who wishes to speak to this application? Adam, is there anyone who wanted to address this particular application? I know that there was no one on the list. I just want to double check.
Madam Chair, actually, Mr. Ben DiCarlo is here to speak to this application. He is the applicant on behalf of Highland Designs.
Okay, if you want to bring him in.
Oh, there we are. Good afternoon. I don't really have anything to add other than I'm here to answer any questions that may come up.
Are there any questions for the applicant? Hearing none, could I then have a mover and a seconder to receive the application and to grant provisional approval? Moved by Member McKelvey, seconded by Member Donald.
Be it resolved that the Land Division Committee of the County of Haliburton received the staff report related to application for consent H1724, and that the Land Division Committee for the County of Haliburton grant provisional approval of application for consent H1724, subject to the conditions of approval as listed in the staff report. Member Kennedy.
Yes.
Member McKelvey.
Yes.
Member Snyder.
Yes.
Member Donald.
Yes.
And Chair Danielson.
Yes. So that's carried. Thank you. The next application is for a new right-of-way submitted by Joanne and William Green in Highlands East.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I'll share screen and walk committee through the application. And can everybody see the map in front of them?
Yes.
Okay, it should be the all the highlighted green parcels. Okay, thank you. Application for consent H1824 is for a new right-of-way. And I'll just start by describing where the existing right-of-way was historically, and I'm going to zoom in a little bit here. So the subject property is highlighted in red, and this is the property that is granting the new right-of-way. And I should just note that Tops Drive is basically this black line here, and this Tops Drive goes through the Greens property. And we'll call them the downstream landowners. There's numerous lots here along Monk Lake that all get access eventually over the green property out to Highway 118. So there was a right of way existing back in 1999, and that went undisturbed until around 2022 when, oh, sorry, the right of way went until around 2022 when the Tops Drive was relocated slightly. There was a slight change in the alignment, just so that cars weren't passing in front of the green residence. And as a result, where that new driveway went here, where my cursor is, there was no description on that part. So the surveyor had to shoot a new part here. However, the right-of-way description for the downstream owners had to be updated to include this new part on this new reference plan to basically reestablish that gap in the legal access for these waterfront owners. So that's where we are today. It's a relatively minor application that corrects a break in the chain for the legal access arrangement that's been in place since around 1999 for the multiple benefiting landowners on Monk Lake. So Highlands East staff have endorsed the application. County of Haliburton staff have no objection, subject to the conditions in the report. And I also believe legal representation for the Greens is here today as well, if there's any technical questions of committee or anyone in attendance. Thank you.
Okay, so I have, are there any questions from the committee for Adam? Hearing none, I think the agent for the applicant is Greg Parker is here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, sorry, it's Greg Parker here, present as the agent for the applicant. I think Adam has summarized it nicely, both in his staff report and his introduction on the file. I don't have anything to offer. We're content with the conditions that are in the staff report, but I am open to answer any questions that the committee may have.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions that committee members have for Mr. Parker? Hearing none, I also understand that Robert Patterson from the Area Road Association is also here. Do you have comments that you'd like to make, Mr. Patterson?
Yes, thank you. I'm just here for the 52 cottage owners that access their properties across the greens, and the road association, through the documents you've seen, have agreed to maintain the easement at our cost and not at the cost of the greens. And so we're just looking forward to concluding this matter so that we're whole again with access to our properties through the greens on a single easement. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Mr. Patterson? I see Ms. Green is here, possibly Mr. and Mrs. Green.
Yes.
To speak to the committee, or you're here just for information?
Just here for information, and Mr. Parker is doing all the talking for us.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Is there anyone else who wishes to speak to the application? Hearing none, then could I have a mover and a seconder to receive the application or receive the staff report and provide provisional approval for the application? Moved by Member Donald. Seconded by Member Kennedy.
Be it resolved that the Land Division Committee of the County of Haliburton receive the staff report related to application for consent H1824, and that the Land Division Committee for the County of Haliburton grant provisional approval of application for consent H1824, subject to the conditions of approval as listed in the staff report. Member Kennedy?
Yes.
Member McKelvey?
Yes.
Member Snyder?
Yes.
Member Donald?
Yes.
And Chair Danielson.
Yes. That's carried. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you very much.
The next application is by Henderson Woodhouse and Buckingham for 2 new rights of way over a private road. That being, I think, Preacher's Lane in Dysart et al.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair, and I'll share screen with committee. And I'll just very briefly walk committee through the application, just starting out for context. The benefiting lands from these 2 rights of way is at 1606 Preacher's Lane, which is highlighted in yellow. And there are 2 granting parcels that the benefiting lands actually cross over. And I'll zoom in a moment on a sketch. But basically, there's a driveway kind of that does a bit of a switchback onto Preacher's Lane, but it crosses over 1610 and 1637 Preachers, which is why we need the right of way. It's to provide access to a garage. So just zooming in a little bit, there is a garage here, and in the staff report there are some site photos that I marked up showing where the driveway crosses over both lots. So the right of way is actually very, very minor. It's a very small area, but basically the garage is here, and the driveway crosses over a little tiny portion right here of 1606, and then it comes back over 1637 Preachers, which is actually right here. So hard to tell where the lot line's out there, but this application will basically just fill in those 2 gaps for legal access to get into that garage that's been built. So Dysart staff have endorsed the application. County staff have no objection, subject to the conditions, and I'd be happy to answer any questions committee may have. Thank you.
Questions on the application? Applications, I should say. Hearing none, I believe that Ashlyn Kennedy is the agent for these applications who may wish to speak to the committee.
Good afternoon, committee. I am here. Adam's provided a good overview of the applications, but here to answer any questions if you have any.
Any questions from Ms. Kennedy? Hearing none, could I then have a mover and a seconder to receive the staff report and grant provisional approval to both applications? Moved by Member Kennedy, second by Member Snyder.
Be it resolved that the Land Division Committee of the County of Haliburton received the report related to applications for consent H 1924 and 2024, and that the Land Division Committee for the County of Haliburton grant provisional approval of application for consent H 1924, subject to the conditions of approval as listed in the staff report. And second, that the Land Division Committee for the County of Haliburton grant provisional approval of application for consent H 2024, subject to the conditions of approval as listed in the staff report. Member Kennedy?
Yes.
Member McKelvey?
Yes.
Member Snyder?
Yes.
Member Donald?
Yes.
And Chair Danielson.
Yes. That's carried. Thank you very much, everyone. The final application is by McCracken for a lot addition on Upper Potash Road in Highlands East.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I'll share screen. Okay, application H 2124 is for 1318 Upper Potash Road. And this application is for a lot addition, and the lot addition will be from 1318 Upper Potash to 1304 Upper Potash, which is owned by a family member, and it's one door down from the subject lands. And I'll just zoom in a little bit here. So currently, the granting lands is basically all of this back area here. And what will happen is approximately 4.5 hectares, which is outlined in red, will be added to the back of the benefiting parcel, which is 1304. And then 1318, highlighted in green, will be retained. The granting lands have a dwelling, as do the benefiting parcel. There is a condition in there from Highlands East that apparently it's a derelict structure. And so Highlands East has recommended be removed. That'll be a matter to be resolved with the municipality through the conditions of consent. Staff have reviewed the proposal against county official plan policies. Highlands East has endorsed it, and we recommend approval subject to the conditions in the staff report. I'd be happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Any questions for Adam on this application? Seeing none, I believe that the agent, Brian Suter, is here. He could be brought forward to see if he's got any comments.
There. I'm Brian Suter. I'm here with John McCracken Sr. And I'm appearing on behalf of the McCracken family. They've been in the immediate area for generations. The purpose of this is to create a suitable sized lot to pass on to future generations. The approval is subject to Highlands East cleaning up the rezoning, so it will remain shoreline zoning. There won't be any change of uses. John Sr. here has canvassed the neighbors who have not expressed any concerns with this application, and there is support that we are cleaning up the site. Also like to thank the county staff. They've been very helpful in this application, and we're able to answer any questions.
Okay, are there any questions for Mr. Suter? Now, I understand there is another member of the public who wishes to speak to the application. Ashley Tessera.
Through you, Madam Chair, to committee, IT has just notified me that that person has not logged in. They are not in attendance.
Okay. So there's no one else who wishes to speak to the application. Okay, if the committee members have no further questions, could I have a mover and a seconder to receive the report and grant provisional approval to the application? Member Donald, seconded by Member McKelvey.
Be resolved that the Land Division Committee of the County of Haliburton received the report related to application for consent H2124, and that the Land Division Committee of the County of Haliburton grant provisional approval of application for consent H2124, subject to the conditions of approval as listed in the staff report. Member Kennedy?
Yes.
Member McKelvey?
Yeah.
Member Snyder?
Yeah.
Member Donald?
Yes.
And Chair Danielson?
Yes. That's carried. Thank you. Is there any other business you wish to bring forward, Adam?
This might be a good time for our new Director of Planning, Elizabeth Purcell, to introduce herself.
I was just going to say, as you can see, Elizabeth has been in the background, and she's recently joined us about 2 weeks ago, I think, Elizabeth. And we look forward to working with you. Any comments that you'd like to make to the land division speech?
Thank you, Chair Danielson. It's very nice to virtually meet everyone on the Land Division Committee, and you will see me, I guess, lurking in the background of meetings to come. So in the future, happy to impart any of my knowledge and wisdom on the group, should the matter and the need arise. But otherwise, thank you for the warm introduction and putting me on the spot, but
you're welcome.
very nice to meet everyone.
Okay, thanks. So I see that our next committee meeting is scheduled for July the 8th. Does that work for everyone? Sounds like that's okay.
I'm good.
So with no further business, I wonder if we could have a mover and a seconder to adjourn. Moved by member Kennedy, seconded by member McKelvey.
Be it resolved that the June 10th, 2024 Land Division Committee meeting be hereby adjourned.
All in favor? That's carried. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks. Have a great
Thanks,
afternoon.
everyone. See you in a month.